Today is International Youth Day. However, millions of young people in South Africa are challenged by both unemployment and poverty. Kristal Duncan-Williams, project leader at the Youth Capital Campaign, says bridging the social divide between rich and poor can play quite a huge role in empowering young people. She joins us now to talk about this. Kristal, thank you for your time and good morning to you. How big and how wide is that, divide, particularly when we're looking at young people and, social class, of course, the rich and the poor?
We know that in South Africa, we live in one of the most unequal cities in the world. The gap between rich and poor has always been big in South Africa. And I think with the huge inflation hikes lately, we're starting to see that gap widen. And that's really alarming. A recent study in the US, the first and largest of its kind, showed that the thing that's really the game changer for people from poorer backgrounds are friendships with people from groups that are wealthier off than them, more powerful than education, more powerful than other factors that you would think would be so important in people coming from poor backgrounds, rising above and creating more wealth for themselves. It's really these social connections to people in wealthier groups that makes all the difference.
Yeah. And how do we, assist or empower young people with these social connections?
That's up to the rest of us who have social connections. Young people, the difference is really to find people who are unlike you. And I think often as South Africans, we feel overwhelmed by this youth unemployment crisis. We hear it on the news, weekly. We see the numbers continue to rise, and we feel powerless to do anything about it because we think it's a government problem, it's an economic problem. But really, a connection with a young person can make all the difference. Informing a young person about an opportunity that you see, particularly a young person who, as I say, is from a background different to yours. Befriending a young person in the workplace. They might not be from the city. It might be their first job. They might not feel they can talk to their boss. Just befriending that person, helping them settle in, being a bit of a sounding board for them. When we think of social connections, we think it must entail mentoring a young person, which, some people say I don't have the time, but it doesn't have to be that intense. It can really be as simple as, taking a young person for one coffee to help them, go through their CV, do one mock interview with a young person. And I think, people might feel overwhelmed about where to find young people, but there's many organizations working with youth in this country, that can help you connect with these young people that could really benefit. And your connection to an opportunity, whether it be a study opportunity, a bursary opportunity, a work opportunity, could make all the difference in this young person's life.
Yeah, and what I found insightful about your point, Kristal, is that even though social connections are good for their development, their livelihoods, and obviously opening up economic opportunities for them, but also for their mental health. We've been seeing how, young people's mental health has been almost compromised, quite lately. How important is this aspect?
Absolutely, Tumelo. Young people often internalize the rejection that they face. So, they struggle to get through school, and then they struggle to get to university. Maybe they don't get through and they feel like failures, or they do get through and then they can't find work and they think that they're a failure somehow. And, they apply for jobs and probably jobs that aren't well suited for them. And so they continue to feel this rejection, and that really leads to huge depression for young people. Not having a purpose in the morning, not having a place to go to work really weighs on young people's mental health. We hear this from young people in our networks all the time. And we know that the cost of, mental health care in this country is high. Access to public health care is not always possible when it comes to mental health. So, having a sounding board, an adult who's maybe gone through the journey, somebody they can talk to, could really help the young person feel less alone, less like it's all their fault. And feel like there's some hope.
Yeah. For someone looking from the outside in, looking at social media, for instance, and how young people have, X amount of followers, say on, Facebook, friends, or even on Twitter and Instagram, what's the reality? Are young people really connected with the number of friends they make on social media or the number of friends that they have on Facebook? Or is that relationship more fickle than we actually see? Because someone looking, I could say, hey, if Kristal has 1,000 followers on Instagram, surely she's connected economically with her development. She knows where to go to get someone to assist her with her CV.
So I think, often, even if those connections are real, young people are connected with people like them. The way our schooling system is set up in this country, you go to school in the area where you live a lot of the time. So, you might have 500 friends, but they're all in the same situation as you are. As I said, they're not from places, they're not people who are unlike you, or different to you, have different connections, who can tell you how the world of work works. And as you say, social media can often paint a not so true picture. It's not, most young people have not met all
Yeah.
their followers on Twitter or Instagram. But, they do feel like there's a community there. But often it's with people like them, which doesn't really help them to transcend their situation and connect into opportunities they wouldn't know about otherwise.
Well, I appreciate you speaking to us about this, Kristal, and highlighting this issue today on International Youth Day. Kristal Duncan-Williams from Youth Capital, thank you for your time today, and just opening up our eyes on more, social connections that are needed to empower the youth of South Africa.